we're here. Rory.
Ah. Hey, Mark.
How you doing,
How
buddy?
are we? I'm not bad. Yourself?
I'm pretty crappy. I'm like,
Yeah.
Rory asked me. Rory already knows the answer to this question. He
Sort
asked
of.
earlier. I didn't actually say pretty crappy earlier, but I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I kind of got one of these, what the heck am I going to do today kind of feelings, right? There's things I've got to do, kind of things I want to do. Let's kind of show you where we left off. So at least we'll kind of ground ourselves there and get a sense of,
Sure.
get a sense of where we are. Let's go in here. I want to switch this over to the Excel. So I created, yesterday we created kind of an easier way for the Dungeon Master to, this is after we left you, Rory. We created an easier way for the Dungeon Master to impact damage, to specify damage, and also to change wealth, as you can see here.
Cool.
So for example, I can hit the damage health button right there, type in the amount of damage, like for example 12, and I'm just hitting these buttons here. I hit this one and then this one and then hit the AC. Oops, that's all clear. Sorry, 12 and then hit the damage button, and then that'll give 12 damage away for little cutie there, who's the one that's selected. Here to show you what I'm doing. Here's what the interface is looking like here. So I can come in and say, let's say 5 health, like that. And it's very quick and easy, and it's
Nice.
It works the way you expect. Now, before we had this, we had folders, because I didn't really conceive of the ability to kind of be able to, hit multiple buttons and hold up to, count a number together. Surly's here, and he says, sorry to interrupt, but he
Except
did not
that it didn't
interrupt us.
Yeah. Huh.
Why is that? I'm curious to know. That looks correct. And that looks correct. Both of my no, I'm not really, especially now. Surly, I don't get it. I'm not sure why your interruption isn't working. Let's see, can I play music on here? I can.
My drone is fine.
If I type in fixed, so scene changes aren't working. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to shut down and restart the apps that make this whole thing run here and work together. Work here. I have a feeling I may have started them just a little too soon. My apologies for that. Normally I have a test procedure that I go through, and I did not do that. All right. Mr. Announcer Bot is up. Overlay Manager coming in next. I'm going to refresh the drone game. In fact, I'll refresh everything here. Refresh the drone game. Now try fixed in here, see if that changes us. All right, Surly's here too now. Surly Dev just showed up. Didn't get to sleep till 6 a.m. Oh no.
That sounds painful.
All right, let's get the music
couldn't
back.
Handle the day at that point.
What'd you say?
I couldn't handle the day if that was by getting to sleep the previous night.
Yeah, that's not.
It's one of those things you feel amazingly productive sometimes, and it just goes on and on, and then eventually you've got to pay for it.
Yeah. So here we go. Let's refresh we'll refresh all the pages here. Dragging back overlay, refreshing that. I still didn't see Surly's intro, though.
No.
Kind of interesting, though. With the fix did work. And then what else I want to do? I want to go over here. I got to restart this. My understanding is that's the sequencing of events. So this is way more intuitive, turns out, than the previous, and it's faster. So
yeah.
So we made that change there. And we also made a change with regards to the changing wealth. Same thing, although I added a decimal point. And all we're doing is, so what's happening is each time we hit one of these buttons, it's sending a chat message to a particular channel. We're listening for that, verifying that it's an authorized sender. And if it is, you know, the Dungeon Master, then we collect it. So we're essentially building a number through chat messages, right? Including a decimal point. So at some point when we hit the decimal point, we're like, oh, okay, we're now, you know, now each number that comes in, we're going to divide by 10 each time we get a new number and add it.
And so does the operator get any feedback as to what the current number is?
Not really.
So you could conceivably go 1.2 and produce an illegitimate number.
Well, we can try that. So each number sends a line of message. Yeah, that's what's happening. So I could do this. I could do 1, 2, well, I don't know, 0.35, take gold away. I don't know, see what happens there. Now, the 2 points were converted to a 1.
Hey,
it wasn't a
there
problem.
you go, robust system.
But I can do like, I can also do 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 and then oops, all clear, right, like that. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but when I hit a button on here, I get some feedback that the button went through. It changes the icon to a kind of a little check mark. There's another check mark there. So I do see that. And I've tried typing it pretty quickly. Like if I type in, so I typed in 14, if I type in .73 real fast, or maybe .77 real fast, so .99 and then take. I'll do that because I can do this real quickly. .99 take, like that. And it gets it. Oh, by the way, it took the 14 away. It takes the 14 away if more than like 15 seconds have passed since the time I hit that number. So that I kind of built that in as a safeguard because I didn't want old numbers to be used on new things. Does that make sense? Because I could come in here and I could say, I could type in 14 and say I want to do something, and then, oh, maybe not. You know, enough time passes, then I come in and say, oh, okay, now I want to take away 99 copper pieces, so I'll type in 0.99 take, and I want to make sure that 14 does not get in there. Oops.
Yeah.
So that was, I didn't, you know, that was within my 15-second threshold, but I think if I go longer, that should not, let's try it. 14 right there, so I've done that. And let's look at the clock, and we'll wait till that gets to 15, and I'll type in .99 take. I think that's what my threshold is for it, and I should only see 99 cents come out. That's kind of the idea. What is it you can't see? Your webcam is flipped horizontally. Yes, that is.
Yeah.
I do that so when I point to my left, it's also pointing on screen to your left.
It's good. It's a nice technique.
That's what I'm trying to do. What are we at?
I'm not seeing that default come up though.
.99 take away. Should just see 99 cents take away. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. So the thing that was surprising me was how quickly I could punch in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
114, add gold, like that, and it just works. Like
so this gives Dungeon Master a nice arbitrary way to just decide in the moment. Oh, you know, I roll a dice on your behalf, and you lost some money. You must have dropped your wallet somewhere along the line,
or whatever,
and just invent whatever. Kind of like the arbitrary sort of house point system in Harry Potter.
Yes, well, it's
you were
also
awarded this or subtracted that.
Right, or if I go into a store,
you could take Surly's coins away.
Yeah, exactly. I go into a store and I want to buy like a magical sword. They'll say, well, that's 200 gold, and I say I buy it. So the Dungeon Master comes in, goes 200, take GP, and the money goes away, like that.
Yeah.
So that is that. So that's built, and it's way better than the previous UI. And part of my hesitation in even conceiving of this as a possibility was I was nervous about hitting the buttons quickly, boom, 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 like that it is not going to go through. I added an all clear button there so that in case you made a mistake, you wouldn't just keep building the number up. Does that make sense? And because these numbers are so small generally, and they're often like easy rounded off numbers like 100 or 150 or 200, things like that, it is, I decided that the feedback was not important. Right? Because you do get the feedback once you finally hit the commit button. Like I just typed in 250, I can see that, I get that. And also in the Dungeon Master, at this point, the Dungeon Master would get feedback in their chat window. Let me see if I can.
I can see where your concern about hitting the buttons quickly might come in as well. If you put, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, and you don't obviously have that feedback, then conceivably those messages might arrive at the far end in a different order, giving you 3, 2, 1 or 2, 1, 3. And then when you hit the subtraction afterwards, which maybe there is more of a delay, you end up subtracting the figure you didn't intend to.
Hold on.
But your experimental data says otherwise.
See, it surely seems to say something similar. He says, digit 4, etc. Shush, Roy. The players might have issues, Mark. You can enter the numbers quickly. They might not be able to. Why would they not be able to enter them quickly? Because of their internet connection? They're going to have a pretty fast internet connection already to test this theory. I don't know if Rory can test this very easily.
I can follow instructions, though, if it's useful in any way.
Rory can follow instructions. That part is good. Okay. Well, yeah, Rory can't because he doesn't have the right account to be able to do this. So he can't. But I'll have my Dungeon Masters test this tomorrow night. Is today Wednesday? Yeah, so tomorrow night. So we'll test this out tomorrow night and see if this if it works as well there. The other, so damage wealth, damage and health, and change wealth were both done. The other thing is inspiration now allows me to specify how many die I want to roll and then hit the die I want to roll. So for example,
Cool.
if I want to do like, I don't know, 5 D8s, I can just hit 5 and then D8s like that, and I get 5 inspiration die coming out. At least I should. Why don't I see them? Why do I not see them? Let's see if I can roll something else out here. Great. Why would that not work? 5 D8s. Let's try one more time. Oh, there they are. I think it just was an
It's
initial
a loading issue, maybe?
Yeah, I had not yet clicked on any player tabs yet, and so that might have been it. So there's my 5d8 right there, right? I also added something that said, look, we can't throw out more than 20 die. So if you punch in a number higher than that, you'll kind of be, it'll be like, no. Make the players VIP in the Dungeon Master DM channel, Mark, and they'll be able to send messages quickly. And then type them on the stream deck. Yeah, I may do that. We'll see. And then the other thing I did, which is kind of interesting, I'm working on this, not done yet, but the ability to come in and say, okay, let's do like damage dice. So here's slightly different. I've only got it really working with the D4 here, but the idea is, let's say, for example, we'll do 8 D4s. So 8 D4, and when I hit the D4 button, it lets me choose the damage. And so I'll say like fire, and so now we should see 8 D4 fire damage coming out, like that. How you doing, baby?
Can you open this for me?
Sure, baby. This is my life right here, kids. Writing code. There's Karen. Saying hi.
Oh, what's going on with the dice?
I'm just on fire. I'm just showing the stuff we did yesterday. There you go. So kind of cool, right? In that the Dungeon Master can... I just tested. Freda couldn't spam the chat with seed. He paused in the browser saying you were sending messages too quickly. Before I directed coders could spam the chat, so if they were VIPs, then all should be good. Sterling says hi to you, Karen. I think she left. So yeah, so that's kind of cool. The other thing I want to do is I want to have a button here like apply damage, and then get to select what players get that damage. So for example, the Dungeon Master, just going up one level, could say, okay, well, there's going to be like, there's going to be 4 D4s and it's going to be cold damage. And then once they roll out, then I want to be able to have a command that says apply last damage to player and apply it. Maybe that's what we'll work on today, Rory.
This is really good because apart from anything else, we start with the idea that you want a kind of a command and control center for the DM to trigger things, but that you should have to put as little effort into this as possible. So you shouldn't have to know things like the damage of a weapon. Okay, the use of the weapon in the appropriate way should cause damage in the appropriate way. So you take as many things off, sorry, not so much out of control, but out of the mindset of the DM, so he doesn't have to worry. But at the same time, we can't necessarily build a system that knows each and every single rule, at least not yet. So this provides the because I feel like it factor, or because I've thought of something the system hasn't.
Well,
So you're now talking about having to control, as you say, damage and health and style of damage and whatever it might be in combination, but not have to have an in-game reason other than deity said it happened kind of thing.
Well, the Dungeon Master is still maintaining the monsters, and the monsters have attacks. So what this is going to do is allow the monster attack dice to show up on screen, and then to make it easy to apply that damage to the player. So that's kind of what I want to do. Surly is saying, can you set buttons to toggle? Have the players down the right of that deck. I'm not sure what you mean by that. As you tap them, it enables them. I think I see what you're saying. Puts a border around the button, and then whatever the weapon he presses applies damage to the selected players. Not really. I can't do that without, I think, writing an extension for the Stream Deck, and I'm not sure if the Stream Deck extensions work on both C# and, on Windows and on the Mac. And I've got, my Dungeon Masters are using both. So let's just see that. Stream Deck extensions. Bar Raider is a Stream Deck extension that is pretty cool. Okay, maybe that's what we're going to work on today. We'll see. Stream Deck extensions work for both Windows and Mac. See what we find out here. I feel like I saw it in the. Not all plugins are available cross-platform. How do I create a cross-platform extension? And that's my new question. Creating a cross-platform extension for Stream Deck. Do you think .NET Core? This is Junicus. Hi, Junicus.
Maybe. Either that or TypeScript, right? A lot of things being written in JavaScript-derived languages these days. Even desktop applications in some cases.
Yeah, it's looking like
Yeah, JavaScript plugin. Possible.
Fred of the Cat. Bar Raider. Oh, nice. I like that. And is it going to work in both Windows and the Mac? All right. He has a page function which temporarily flashes all the buttons different colors in a wave. I thought of you when I saw that. Interesting. That's kind of cool. All right, so there's a possibility to go here. I'm like, I should tell you guys, I'm like, today for some reason, I'm not my normal optimistic self. I'm kind of pessimistic today. Kind of a little it's grumpy programmer day a little bit.
That
So
happens occasionally.
so
It's
my
not a, you know.
normally when I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's dive in. I'm not feeling that right now. I'm like, okay, I got it. I acknowledge it. Maybe what I need is some pudding. I just need like a cup of pudding. Does somebody have a no
That's
pudding?
a big cup.
That's I just asked for a cup. Just a cup. That's all I wanted. Cup of pudding. Not a whole like vat of pudding dumped on me.
Hey,
Right.
Pudding, how's it going?
Welcome, pudding. Glad you're here. So yeah, I'm gonna resist that, Surly. I think unless you're like, you know what, Surly, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna give you power here, Surly. You've collected coins. You've been hanging out with us every day. If you want me to do this, and or Fred of the Cat, if you want me to do this, you tell me right now, and you can override me, and I will be your coding monkey today. I feel ramped up today. I feel like I want to sit down and bang some code out. Maybe because I'm fasting. Yeah, that might be the case. I'm trying to look back at my diet here. What the heck have I been eating here that's making me like this? I don't know. I'm definitely kind of like, rah, rah. Stream Deck Tools on NuGet. What's my solution here? I'm open to it. But while we're waiting for the chat room to weigh in on that or to say what they want to do on that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. I want to go look for things to implement or finish implementing. I think one of the things that we did not finish implementing, hold on, is one of the players has a feature that allows them, and is it listed here, wild shape. We were working on this a while back.
That rings a bell, right? Yeah.
We were working on wild shape. And there it is right there. And we kind of worked it out so that I think it would kind of work. But the piece it never did was it never allowed them to select the wild shape. Oh yeah, this is actually something to consider. This could be something we could do today. This is where I think I'm leaning now, Rory.
Okay.
It is, as part of implementing wild shape, you get to take the form of another creature. And when you
Yes.
do that, it takes over and changes your character's hit points,
Ah, yes.
right? It takes over your character's abilities as well, until that creature dies, in which case you restore back to your normal self.
Okay.
I don't think it's easy. I've only thought about it for the last 7 seconds, so I'm not exactly sure how to build this yet. But
Does that mean it takes away your ability to wild shape for the duration of being in a wild shape?
yeah, I think it does. Well, but this feature already should be solving that. So because the code we wrote already, we had code here in this form right here, activate shortcut available when. And so the shortcut, which allows us to actually go or not go into it, is determined. Its activation, its availability is determined by these right here. Activate shortcut, deactivate
Sure.
shortcut, available. So its availability here. I also
But we get a strange kind of an effect. So if you sit there in your what kind of class is it that does this again?
well, it doesn't matter. All I have to do is put
I guess
this
not.
word on
Yeah.
there. But the class.
But if you have this ability to do it, and
True.
you say, okay, I'm going to wild shape into, I saw a bear a minute ago, and therefore that'll do. And now you switch out all your abilities for those of a bear.
Yes.
The bear has no inherent ability to cancel wild shape since he doesn't have wild shape.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's not, but not in this case. So what happens is not every ability is replaced. So the bear
Okay.
does have the ability to cancel wild shape, if the bear is.
So we're going to need some ability to distinguish between those abilities that are removed and those that are not.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think what we should do. Let's first start by taking a look at D&D wild shape. And I don't want to watch this game. I want to watch a stream now, but I need to go to my mom's to take her dinner. Yes, I'm cooking her dinner, even though I'm fasting. And sort out some financial affairs, and broadband is down. I might have to listen to my audio only, on my work phone. Certainly, you've just revealed all the private information we need to know about you. We now know everything about you. You've revealed everything in your message. All right, take care of your mom. Certainly, such a good guy. I don't think I've ever once made soup for anyone related to me. Or maybe a child. I don't know. Okay. Maybe one of my kids has gotten soup once.
Possible.
All right, so let's take a look at this. So druids apparently have the wild shape, but I've seen other things too where you can, you know, do that. There's also a related thing to this where a character can own a creature and the creature can now take a turn.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have any ability to do that yet. I don't have that inside here yet. By the way, yeah, I was so grumpy, I put a grumpy message out on Tailspire. And you know Tailspire, the story that I'm trying to get a beta key from Tailspire? It's absolutely killing me that they're not getting this. This is like, I should be a patient gentleman, but I am absolutely not. I feel like every week that I don't have a beta key is just like insane in terms of lost opportunity. And I'm like, so I put a grumpy message out there. Again, because here's the thing. Guess what? Tailspire does not support the ability to group slabs, which are the basic building blocks of Tailspire. They don't have grouping, apparently. Somebody was asking for it as a feature request. I'm like, guys, you can do this with a composite design pattern. And then again, I go into my, I will help you write this code and test it for a beta key. That was my grumpy message that I put out there in the forums. I don't know.
And that's not helped so far either, then.
No, I don't. Yeah, my me grumpy doesn't really help. You know, I don't know what I got to do to convince these guys to give it to me. I don't know. Usually, I just show up and don't leave, and then it happens. That's my normal way. But you know, with
going places is tricky right now.
Yeah, with the borders closed, that's not going to happen. All right, so let's go in and look at wild shape and see what's happening in the description of it. Whoops, there it was right back there.
There can't possibly be people patrolling the whole of the border, can there?
I think these guys are in Scotland. They're somewhere
Oh,
by
okay.
you.
That's a few different borders to get through then, okay.
No, I'm not saying
Slightly
it's
more
impossible, but I'm just like, and there have been times where I've flown to companies to go in and tell them what I think they should do. I remember I was in Vancouver once. I flew up to Vancouver to talk to a company. I feel like this has happened more than once where I've been like, or at least I know I've threatened to show up. Because, you know, it's like, sometimes it's hard to get a sense of credibility if somebody's out there just saying something in the chat room. Do you know what I mean? Right? And so I think when you're in person, you can say, here's how we can break through this problem, and you can get it. So starting a second level, you can use your action to magically assume the shape of the beast. Okay, use this feature twice. You regain expended uses when you finish short rest. Let's see, are we doing that right now? Let's take a look at
I
this.
thought we... Because I thought we had an expiry.
There we go. Take wild shape. Yeah, here we go. We are. There it is right there. We're automatically tracking those charges. So that's all done thanks to the code there for the wild shape feature. In fact, we should be able to see that code here for wild shape. There we go. Here's the code.
Yep.
By the way, I went out and asked for a free license to an editor this morning. And I was like, because I was trying to find, okay, how do we create a syntax editor with IntelliSense? And I looked at it and I found like what appeared to be the only and the best one out there. And but I don't want to pay $400 for the editor. This isn't something, you know, thousands of people are going to use. It's going to be something I'm going to use. That's it. Yeah. So I'm like, I could spend that $400 on so many more things that would have a bigger bang for the buck than a syntax highlighting editor with IntelliSense. So I asked for a free license. I said, hey, you want to give me a free license? And if they do, I think I'm going to integrate it. I'm going to find a way to integrate it into our open source project. So obviously their source isn't out there, but if you had a license, you could then use it. And maybe ideally with a switch that lets you pick between one of two different editors.
Surlydev's asking, what's the editor in VS Code? Maybe you could implement that. That's open source, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if it's open source or not. And I'm not sure what it would take to wrap my head around it. I feel like one of the things I'm strapped for, Surly, is getting up to speed learning time. So I'm like, here. There it is. It's that guy. You just have to look at the code as it goes by. VS Code is Electron, the editor's OmniSharp, I think. VS Code is open source, it's pluggable. So I've got basically fear of hitting a learning curve. Got FOLC, fear of the learning curve. Folk. Maybe not open source in the sense that someone can work on VS Code IDE itself, but release source, whatever they call it.
Right, they're a reference of some kind, isn't it?
Were you invited, or did you just think, I know, today I'll fly up to Vancouver and get a meeting with the company? I worked it out so that there was some other reason to be in Vancouver. And I went to Vancouver. Did I have already a plan to be there? I don't remember. I think they were both kind of unfolded at the same time, Sterling, where I was like, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna get a meeting.
I just have this image now of you pressed up against the glass of the building, saying, "Let me in."
No, they knew I was coming, but basically I was like, I am coming, and so here's your compelling reason for letting me in to talk to me, and then so that's number one, and then the second thing I'm in there is here's your compelling reason to now change your development track to do this instead. So yeah, I've done that because I guess I'm crazy. I'm sorry about that, guys. I should be better. I should be a better person. So this line of code right here, add rechargeable, that's what allows us to track it. We see how many shapes we have. We see there's 2. On activate, this just counts for the rechargeable right here. It does the counts on how many we've used. Cool, we've got a timer. And when we exit the timer, we're going to go into exit wild shape. Right there. It's off screen, and I've got no scroll bar. Hence the need for better editor. Backwards here. Need some ice. Oh, need some ice. I could put that in my drink right now if I could just get a little bit. Oh, there we go. Got it. There we go. Thanks for that ice.
Sorry about your shit.
I think that's so beautiful. I hate how the sound kind of stutters a little bit and the video stutters. I need a faster machine, Rory.
Yeah.
I'm like, all I'm thinking about is, how do I get a new like $7,000 or $8,000 machine into this house without my wife knowing about it? That's all I'm thinking about. How do I get it in here without that showing up and being an obvious?
Distract her with explosions outside.
I have no idea. I'm like, all I'm thinking is, I gotta get a new machine. How do I get that in without that being a big point of negotiation? I don't know. So this says, I totally get you. If you see a way for something and how you think it can be implemented, I get it. I always seem to have that clarity on projects at work that I'm not working on. Yeah. No,
it's
I get
that fresh eyes logic, right?
Well, also, there's no risk in saying, hey, why don't you try this? There's very little risk to you, right, to do that. So it's much easier to do that. So I'm just a little bit like, whoa, let's try and, I'm already at risk of being sad today, so I don't want to do anything that has a high risk of failure. Let's do a medium to low risk of failure today. I spew a load of information to the other devs, and they sit there looking at me going, who's your boss, Mark? We'll email him and tell him that he's making his company look bad. Wait, what is making my company look bad? I don't understand that. Nobody's emailing my boss either. You guys are going to be, it's the last thing I need is Surly in a discussion with my boss.
No.
It's over. So we've got some code already in here that's happening, but on activate, we don't have anything that actually selects the wild shape.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't have anything in there that actually implements it. So let's play in that space. Now, this I'm running standalone, so that means we can keep this running while we make changes to the code. We just won't be able to build. And we can start writing some code in here. So let's kind of play in this space. So let's go into, character, which is our base class for player, which is the class we use for players. And if I just scroll through, you can kind of get a visual of this, or maybe even better, I can come up here and bring this guy up here, and you can kind of see what's going on. If you look at the properties in the fields here, it's a little small. I'll zoom in a little bit. But these are different properties and fields needed to represent different rules and states and qualities of Dungeons and Dragons player. That's kind of what's going on there with those properties and those fields in there. I don't really have a strong, there have not been a strong set of guidelines in terms of deciding whether it's going to be a property or a field. Usually the guideline goes like this: I'm making a field if it's simply just in a DTO, a data transfer object kind of role, and I'll make it a property if it's something greater than that. Obviously, if it has side effects, then yeah, that we'll do property for sure in that case. Part of the reason why I did that is because a lot of these properties were just here to send data down to TypeScript, and so that's the way that works. So for character, we've got a number of these pieces. Character, it is a descendant of creature. Yep. And creatures up here, we can hit the code rush key, choose derived types, and now we can see that character and monster both descend from creature. Okay, so character is a player in the game, or it could be an NPC, a non-player character, and monster has some slightly different attributes that descend from creature. So one of the things I guess I'm thinking is that we have a creature property on character.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
So sort of a delegate of sorts. I for the moment am like this thing here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then we go into the properties that are impacted by it, and we kind of delegate over to the creature if it exists. So the idea is something along these lines. We create a, and I'm going to call it like a wild shape, like this, and that is going to be the creature. That's kind of what I'm thinking. There was a little perf issue there. I'm going to report that. We're dog fooding code rush here, kids. What's wrong? There's just a slight... I came in here. I don't know if I can do it again. Let's see if I can do it again here. It's not roll back, but I came in and I used this template, expanded it. Wild shape. Yeah, I just typed in shape. Look at that. Oh, look, and for some reason I'm off screen, so you can't see what I did here. Hold on a second. Get me back over here for a second here. I was able... Not what I wanted.
Studio's got now.
There we go. Interesting. I hit the end key in, I thought it was in the code, and I hit the end key in OBS, and it switched to the last scene, which reset everything, refreshed everything. Let's come in here and see if I can get the music started again. Boom, boom, boom. Is that going to work? All right. Let's initialize player data again so that we get rid of that text on screen so the devs can see this. All right, so what I did was this, is I would type in A and then the backslash space, hands off the clipboard. Light ships on the, I want to make character on the clipboard. I'm sorry, creature on the clipboard. One more time. A slash, hands off the clipboard, I mean off the keyboard. Then I went and typed in wild shape. What am I here? ILDSHAPE. And it just seemed a little slow to me. Like that. That one was not too bad. Try one more time here. A backslash wild shape. Yeah, it's a little. There's a little bit of a performance issue here. And before, there definitely was a performance issue. I typed in shape, took my hands off the keyboard, waited, and then the word shape came in. So let's do this so I don't have to worry about the focus on the what I'm typing in. I'm just going to do like a letter and then the numbers 1 through 0 here. So let's try that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And my hands off the keyboard. Well, that worked okay. Yeah, you made me vanish. You made me vanish. I need to fix some of my shape. All right, so let's finish that. Let's finish the perf issue. We'll look at the log files on that. Typing was slow. It was right there. By the way, I've seen a number of the bugs we've reported. Like I think 3 of the bugs we've reported have come back. This is reproducible in Visual Studio without CodeRush loaded. And I was like, whoa, that's a pretty high number. We're actually finding Visual Studio bugs, it looks like. Okay, so there's my wild shape piece right there. Let's go back to the rules, see what's going on with the rules on that. You automatically revert if you fall unconscious, drop to 0 hit points, or die. So we have not implemented that yet.
No.
Let's maybe put a list of things that we need to implement here. I like this template, by the way. It's just double dots in the space bar right there, or the tab key. Gets you one of those comments in there. So I'm just going to put here that. That's what we need to do. While you're transformed, the following rules apply. So we've got several rules. I'm just going to grab them all. And we'll throw them in here. So, but you retain your alignment, personality. Those aren't things we're tracking. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there are other things like wild shape.
So what do they mean then by statistics? This is purely
Those would be your
hit
strength,
points and so forth.
your strength. So there's 6 fields that you have here. So, for example, if we bring up Cornelia, who's a druid, you can see off on the left under the coins. Actually, let me move back to this one. Whoops, this one. Right there, you can see strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma on the left. So
get those for the creature.
Yeah.
The creature's version of those become ours temporarily, but we do not change which other ones.
Intelligence, wisdom. Sorry, it's right behind the scroll. Let me move it off to the side right here so you can see them both. Right there. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma you retain. Okay?
Oh, so hang on. You were listing 6 things there before.
Yeah.
So we were going to change, but 3 of them were ones which we're apparently going to retain.
Yeah.
Intelligence,
so
wisdom,
strength,
charisma.
dexterity, and constitution change. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma do not. Okay? So that's one of the things, the statistics. You also retain all of your skill and saving throw proficiencies. Okay, cool. In addition to gaining those of the creature.
So you're augmenting, which is nice. We don't have to hide any of our existing things. We could have a list of temporary skills or expirable skills, or we could say, augment with list of other creatures, which at the moment would only be 1. Yeah, interesting.
So if the creature has the same proficiency bonus as you, and the bonus in its stat block is higher than yours, then use the creature's bonus instead of yours. That's what it's saying. So we basically have to look at the bonus and grab the higher bonus is what we have to do. So we're going to say it's not so much that these proficiencies are there, but it's use the...
it's like advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
In a sense.
Use the highest skill, and saving throw proficiency. That's what we're going to do there. If the creature has any legendary or layer actions, you can't use them. Fine, that's just as simple. We don't care about that.
There are some further complications as well, because if you as a player are hoping to cast this or to use this skill, this wild shape, and you're going to choose a creature, wouldn't you want to know something about the statistics they had before choosing which one?
Yeah, but often players know that in advance before when they're playing the game. So, for example, a druid knows that it can change into like maybe 5 creatures at a second level, for example. And so they would have a sense of what those creatures are and kind of pick that out in advance. When you transform, you assume the beast's hit points and dice. So, hit points and hit dice, which for our purposes are mainly just hit points.
So some things don't change, some things are augmented with additional options, better alternatives in some cases, and some things do actually replace your own values for a temporary stretch.
Yes, that is correct. So what else? When you transform, you assume the beast's hit points. I got those from above. When you revert to your normal form, you return to the normal hit points you had before you transform. Okay, so that's an important one to implement. However, if you revert as a result of dropping to 0 hit points, any excess damage carries over to your normal form. Yes.
So if you had 10 hit points and you take 20 damage, then 10 is off the animal's total, but 10 will be off your result.
Mm-hmm. Yes. For example, if you take 10 damage in animal form and have only 1 hit point left, you revert and take 9 damage. I think we need some test cases for this. Let's create test cases first, and then we'll implement it. In fact, look, this is there's another example of what you just said, right there. That's it right there.
Oh yeah.
As long as the excess damage doesn't reduce your normal form to 0 hit points, you aren't knocked unconscious. Okay, so we're going to put that in its own paragraph. Can't cast spells, and your ability to speak or take any action that requires hands is limited to the capabilities of your beast form. Transforming doesn't break your concentration on a spell you've already cast, however, or prevent you from taking actions that are part of a spell, such as Call Lightning.
Right, so if the spell specifies you need your hands free in order to do it, but you no longer have hands because you're in the form of a crocodile,
well, yeah,
you can't cast the spell?
Unless it's part of something already, like Call Lightning is what I think it is. Call Lightning. Let's bring this up a little higher so you can see this here. Get that. It's easy to read, not really. Choose a point you can see in range. Bolt of lightning flashes down from the clouds of a point.
Right. It's literally the specifying of where the lightning should strike.
Yeah.
Which requires, the ability to point. An interesting one. I wonder what the dungeon masters might say. You become a snake temporarily. You're going to point with your tail and argue that's good enough.
So the key part here is on each of your turns until the spell ends, you can use your action to call down lightning in this way. Okay? So what that means is as a druid, I could cast Call Lightning, then transform to Wild Shape, invoke my Wild Shape feature, and on each of my turns, call down the lightning in that Wild Shape. Okay? That I can still do. So I can't cast a new spell, but this piece that says you can use your action to call down lightning in this way on each of my turns, I can definitely, that's a
spell already in effect, so to speak.
Yes, and to implement that, we would implement that in the same way that we've implemented Melf's Minute Meteors by creating a second spell for it, and then changing the index for that to a 1, and so that it was differentiated from here, and then specifying the conditions under which that could be called. So that's kind of the idea, just like we did with Melf's Minute Meteors, which is a 10-minute spell that allows me to shoot off meteors as a bonus action. I can shoot off 1 to 2 meteors every time, and I've got 6 meteors that shoot around me. So, okay. Ability to speak or take action that requires hands is limited to capabilities of beast form. Okay, that's all the Dungeon Master. You can't cast spells. That's the important one. We need to block that. Okay?
Block spells. Does that mean we need to actually not treat the follow-up action as a spell?
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay.
absolutely right. Just like the Melf's Minute Meteors is not treated as a, when it's cast in bonus action, in a bonus action is not treated as casting a spell. It's not
That's true.
casting
It is a
spell.
bonus action. That is
Yeah.
separate. Good.
Yeah, it's a bonus action, but don't confuse the spell casting time being a bonus action with it not being a spell. There are some spells that can be cast in a bonus action, and there's some
Right.
spells that can be cast, and these are all just D&D rules without.
And this is why we need a system like this, isn't it? Right?
Sure.
To keep all this straight and provide you only with the options which are currently valid.
Yeah, transforming doesn't break concentration on a spell you've already cast, however, or prevent you from taking actions that are part of a spell, such as call lighting that you've already cast. So we know that. We're going to be okay with that. We won't break any concentration. You retain the benefit of any features of your class, race, or other source, and can use them as part of the new form as long as they're physically capable of doing so. However, you can't use any of your special senses, such as dark vision. Okay, so senses, unless your new form also has that sense. So that means
Okay.
you gain, so your senses are.
So you lose
replaced.
magic, you replace senses, you replace 3 of your basic stats, and you do not replace another 3.
Yeah, so let's look at this. Replaced are your senses. Replaced are your strength, constitution, and dexterity. Strength, dexterity, and constitution are replaced. Hit points, and we've got that special kind of thing there. And hit dice, but I don't care about those because we're not really doing anything with the hit dice. I don't think we need to really say what you retain. I don't care about that anymore because we're just talking about what's replaced.
Yep.
And then we get use the highest, and we've got skill and saving throw proficiency. Okay, that's a Dungeon Master piece right there, so I don't need to implement that logic right there. If the creature has any legendary or layer actions, you can't use them. This is part of hit points right up here. I'm going to put this all down here, so this is kind of like there. As long as the excess damage doesn't reduce your normal hit points, you're not unconscious. That's one more right there. Okay. Cannot cast spells. I think that's the logic right there. You choose whether your equipment falls to the ground in your space, merges with your new form, or is worn by it. Worn equipment functions as normal, but the DM decides whether it's practical for your new form to wear a piece of equipment based on the creature's shape and size. So this is a little tricky. And I think for the purposes of what we do, I'm going to ignore equipment.
Okay.
But I can imagine a future where where a player chooses this and the DM says, well, your super armor that gives you, a +9 to your armor class no longer applies. That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I'm thinking the Dungeon Master would say. And so he would say, no super armor for you. Like that. All right. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, I don't know if this is a flexible kind of thing or not. In other words, I don't know if there's anything else in D&D that's like Wild Shape. So
Sure,
I kind of want to do a search for that right now. I want to say D&D what features are like, let's see if Google can get me this, wild shape. Spark scheme work with wild shape.
Wild shape and racial features. Does that suggest the two can be similar?
When you wild shape into your beast, you retain these features, so which ones? Swim speed, but nothing else. Okay. All right, I think what I'm going to do, so let's do this at least for now. Here's what I want to do. Let's work on a test case. Let's come over here to our test case piece, and let's create a, let's see what this test would look like. I'm just going to grab one of these right here, create a new test piece in this, call this wild shape tests. Somewhere in here I've got something that creates and gets me a character. Let's move this type to file. Let me drop a marker here, see if I can trigger my memory on where the other characters are. Some of the more recent files that are changed out here. Let's do this. Let's open this up in Explorer. Let's list out by recent, most recent, date modified here. Monster tests. What are I doing here? Oh yeah, this is not done yet. That's for reading all the monsters in. Ability test, character builder. I think character builder is where I want to be. Let's see what I got in character builder. Hold on. You have a bug in the template expansion that just happened. Mark the issue there. Kids, you're going to have to roll back and watch this template expansion for the wild shape test. Look at that. It left this behind in the template expansion right there. Let's go back. It's something we do for formatting. There it is right there. You can see right there. I'm undoing right there.
Mark, that's hidden behind Fred on the stream. I'm not sure whether that video will be terribly clear.
Let me. Thanks so much, buddy. There it is right there. That's what I'm talking about. This little bit right here. It's happening right there. That little comment there that's left over from the template expansion. So do it again. Let's see if we can reproduce it. I was here. I had typed in, just roll back if you can't see it. I here space like this. That worked. Try again. See if it's a speed related thing. So I'm going to hit enter up arrow T space. No, that works here. One more time. Enter up arrow T space. Yeah. So that, look at the log file. See if you can find out why that comment was there, and if there's nothing in the log files, add things to the log files to figure out if that ever happens again. I've seen that like once or twice in the last year, so I think it is a very hard to reproduce issue, and I think it's state dependent and maybe something else is happening. But see if you can take a look at that, find out where that is. All right, so let's go template leaves behind the there you go. All right, that issue's out there. Okay, so these are the wild shape tests. Now, yeah, also, I don't know if you noticed that, Rory, but when I said move class to file, move type to file, because that was commented out, it grabbed both classes and moved them over there.
Oh, yes.
So I undid to move them all back. And then we're moving forward again now. So now we're going to say test druid shape like this, and I want to say, what is it, the character builder? What do I have? Ooh, I've got to build test druid. I'll totally take that.
Yeah. It's almost like someone was thinking that you'd need that.
What does it do? This is actually not where I wanted to be. We can maybe use this, but I think there was another piece that I had seen. Oh, look at that. This thing showing up here. I don't know why that's happening. Interesting. Character builder, storage test, monster storage test. I feel like at some point I'm creating here, build test wizard. I don't think that these are actually showing me which are the newest here. I think if I come in and do a refactoring and rename something, these pieces are changing around. What's this? Here we go, player helper. That's what I wanted. Okay, let's go to player helper because that had more interesting things inside of it. Get paladin, get player at level. What's that do? Class name. Okay, that'll start me out. I'm gonna say get player at level. I'm gonna say druid. And this should just be the level of the druid. I'm gonna say second level druid. Let's go change the name of that. Character add class. Okay. So there's my druid. Player level. I'm going to say player level dot base. See, it just froze for a second on my machine. Base charisma is equal to we'll say 9. Come down here. Base strength. My IntelliSense is equal to 12. Base intelligence. Fine, I'll take 15. Base wisdom is 13. 14, fine, 14, 13. Dexterity I need. Dexterity is equal to 11, and what else? Base, charisma, strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution is the next one. Constitution is equal to 14, so I'll make that.
See, I like the way this is done. This again is as if with forethought. We've got a bunch of fields here which store values, but they're implied by the name that they are base values, which further implies that there are other parts of the system that understand that these can be augmented already, likely in properties of some description, which means that we should go and modify those properties to take advantage of this new extra knowledge of a wild shape, in the case of 3 of them, at which point anything using those properties will be capable of using it properly.
Yeah. Augmented Rory. Pudding saying, Genescu 7, where are you? I don't like this.
That's high GPU.
I don't like it. It's an OBS browser page, but somehow it's like out of the process or something. I don't know what's going on with that guy. And why is he taking so much?
50% just by himself.
Yeah. I gotta look into that, figure that out. Augmenting Rory with wild shape test. Oh, okay, got it. So this is gonna be we'll call this our druid. There's our druid. Then I want to say druid dot wild shape is equal to new creature. Wait, don't I have a monster? All monsters?
Yeah, sure. We sort of
Dot
derived
get.
monsters.
All right. So that's gonna, and we're gonna pass in the name of the monster to get. I think there's like a giant badger. See what happens.
So all monsters is now loaded from our sheet directly.
Yes, it is.
So when we run a test, we will in fact be reaching out to the Google Sheets to get our data.
Yes, that's correct.
But it's okay because this particular type of data is kind of a universe constant logic. It's not going to change unless 6th edition D&D comes out, right?
Right.
So it's pretty trustable.
Yes. So then I think what I want to do is like a I don't know, assert equal. So the giant badger. Let's go find out what the giant badgers. Let's go to monsters out here and find that giant badger. There it is. Sweet. It's so these we're not actually pulling in yet. So we've got to do a little bit of work to make this whole thing work here. I think we're grabbing out to speed, but that's it. So hold on a second. The rules didn't say anything about your speed. Oh, they have this. So we take on speed with the exception. Oh yeah, we put this in our druid chart. Hold on. Yeah, let's go. Let me go open that up. Where's my D&D table? There it is, right there. Druid. Here we go. Wild shape limitations. All right. So this tells me what I can select, what its challenge rating is at those levels. And then this shows me what the limitations are, which I think what that means is we get the speed. So back up in character here, up in wild shape, in our notes for wild shape, replaced, I'm adding speed to this. Right? You get the speed is basically what you get. You get their stats. Speed stats. That's what I'm going to do. Although I feel like I was just reading here about the water genasi. You should retain your swim speed, but not anything else. Unless you're a water genasi. Oh, boy. That's a very specific rule. Unless you are a water genasi, in which case...
I read that as the opposite, which is to say that it was a general case which said you didn't pick up the speed, which in the case of water genasi would be swim speed.
The general answer was for water genasi was that you retain your swim speed. That's what I'm saying.
Right, so you do not take on, you do not replace your swim speed.
Oh, on further inspection, I found this explanation for wild shape in the manual. You retain the benefit of any features from your class, race, or other sources. You can use them if the new form is physically capable of doing so. However, you can't use any of your special senses, such as dark vision. Yeah, we know that. Using this, I looked up many of the special senses, which are listed below. Yeah, okay. I believe that if the air genasi can retain unending breath, because they have lungs, you should be able to breathe underwater and retain acid resistance with any beach form. Rachel flavor. Okay. All right. I'm going to still go with what was said here. Water genasi retains swim speed, but nothing else. But I'm not going to implement that immediately because that's like such a specific rule. And I really want to do that in code is what I want to do. I'm trying to find what, I'm sorry, I want to do that in code for that's in the spreadsheet. I don't want to do it in code here.
Sure.
That's what I think I want to do. Okay, so, all right, back over to our test. So, what for the giant badger? sorry, let's see what's replaced. What's replaced is strength. So let's check our strength score and see if it's the same as what the wild badger's strength is. Which is here, which is 13. Okay, the giant badger, I mean not wild badger, giant badger. Okay, so we're looking for 13 on the druid, and I'm not going to say base anymore. I'm going to say strength, like that. And before we do it, we're going to say it's at the 12, like that.
Yes.
So we're accessing the property. This is just the low-level kind of piece that's out there. And so
which allows us to prove that we don't break the property in a negative way, as well as that we have succeeded in boosting it once the value is there.
So it's a really simple test. Strength changes, something like that. So it's a real simple test. Let's debug it. I may not be able to build with the thing running. I might have to shut down. I think it's going to try and overwrite these DLLs that are loaded. So I'm going to, well, let's see what happens. See if we can build it. Build succeeded. Testing. Cool. I don't have to close it down. Okay, so that passes wild shape. I think it's going to work. Yeah, there it is.
I was taking this time. That's what it was.
Yeah, just loading it in from it because nobody had asked for monster before now. So now we see the base strength here is a 13 of the monster, so that's good. Also, the strength mod, there's counting, but there's it should have a separate strength mod. Because sometimes players can, sometimes monsters, in this case it's a 1. Sometimes I've seen where monsters can have strength bonuses that are different from their regular strength. What'd you say, Rory?
Well, I remembered looking at that cell there, which was the +1. So we have to take that +1 on as well?
No, this +1
replacing whatever.
Well, instead of calculating what it would be for 13, which I think it actually would be a +1, we just use this is what's happening on that.
Okay.
So so now what we want to do is do this, and this is going to fail. Okay, there you go, right there. I wonder if I can step into it. Like set next statement, go into strength. And now I think the code here is like, hey, look, if wild shape, shoot, wild shape is in the descendant. Do I want to, so I have two choices. I can make this virtual, or I can move wild shape up to creature. I don't know.
You're going to have many creatures casting wild shape?
No, just players.
That suggests the virtual then, I think.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But it's a lot to do. And it's so much easier if I just put it down here, right? That's my hesitation. It's like, wow, it's a lot of code. So virtual, we'll just do it for one. We'll just work on one piece at a time. Come over here. We're going to override strength. Put this down here near the bottom. Come down, override it. And we're going to say, hey, let's scroll that up a little bit. If wild shape is not null, then we're going to say return wild shape dot strength. Otherwise, we're going to say return base dot strength. All right, that's the code. That's what it looks like. Let's do some duplication and stuff here. Let's come down here. We need to do the same thing for dexterity. And we need to do the same thing for constitution. That. Similarly, we need to go back up to the base here, and we need to make constitution like wisdom and strength are by themselves. Let's go get them closer to the others. Here we go. Keep them all virtual. Okay. Let's go back to our test case. See if we can run it now. Set a breakpoint here. Debug it.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like that worked. Okay, so there's one right there working. You could do the same with the others. We said wild shape, looking at the documentation. Dexterity and Constitution, the other place. So dexterity is here. Dexterity is 11. And after we go to Wild Badger, our dexterity is 10. That and Constitution.
That was 15 for the Badger.
14 here. Oops, sorry. 14 there and 15 down here. Afterwards. Alright. Let's do. Come back up here. Set your statement. Breakpoint here, run it to there. Good. Okay, those changes are now working.
Good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Senses, I guess, are something we want to take a look at. Let's take a look at the Badger senses here. Giant Badger, where are your senses? Senses are not brought in yet. So dark vision, passive perception. Do we get passive perception on a wild shape? That was not clear to me. I think we do. Must be. Actually, I think it is clear because it says all of your perceptions you get from the other one. I think. Let's do this. Let's look at this. Wild shape, passive perception. Waiting for reddit.com. Take a long time to load. Yeah, I know that. Well, that's different from what I thought this question was asking. Yeah, it looks like I haven't seen the creature section. That's interesting. That's one of your creature's passive, caster's passive perception. So it looks like your passive perception wins. is what I think
So,
it is.
to that interpretation, yeah.
Should we make it the highest? It's it's not clear so far. I would think that's pretty important.
Right, because one way around it overrides even if it's a lower value, whereas the other way around you just get the benefit either way. So far we've had very clear things stating spells are not carried forward and you get those removed. Physical attributes are effectively inherited from the new creature. This perception thing is kind of a 50-50 place between the two, isn't it? Is it as a result of a physicality, or is it as a result of a mysticism or psychic or whatever?
Let me go check passive perception, because I think it's 8 plus, what is it here? Passive perception is 8 plus your perception bonus?
I mean, to some extent, not knowing anything about the specific domain and just interpreting the phrase, it feels like it's as a result of a physical. Because if you are taking the shape of something like, I don't know, an owl which has really good hearing, right? Is that not precisely for the benefit of getting better perception?
Yeah, so here's the deal. This is the answer right here. Passive perception is 8 plus your perception bonus and your proficiency bonus. So perception is perception on a skill check like this. So if I come in and say, hey, perform a perception skill check against a 12, I rolled a 13, so it passes, plus I got a +4. So the perception check success, that +4 is what is part of your passive perception. So it's 8 plus your passive plus your perception plus your proficiency bonus, which is a +2 for this character. If you look up there at the very top, just to the left of the mouse here, right over here, the proficiency bonus is +2. So we have already seen that we've seen stuff that says these bonuses, I think they're the higher one wins, is what I think we've seen. Let's double check that up here. Use the highest skill and saving throw proficiency. So we have to go figure that out to see what our passive perception is. Let's do that right now. So based on that logic, our passive perception, if we've got a proficiency bonus, let's go to our test case here. Okay, so we'll come into our druid and we're going to say our druid proficiency bonus is equal to 2. I think I can do a +2 there to make it a little cooler, easier to read. That's our proficiency bonus. That means our passive perception is equal to our, let's actually use Cornelia's stats here, I think. I want to change this up a little bit. At least her perception is based on, I think, intelligence is what I think it is. Is that true? I gotta look that up. Sorry, kids. Perception bonus is coming from where? D&D. Wisdom is your perception. Okay, so that comes from your wisdom bonus, which in her case is a +2, but there's an extra +4 probably because of other features that she's applied. So if we give them this character, our test character, a wisdom of 14, that means they're going to have a +2 bonus to skill checks that use based on wisdom. So perception is going to be a +2 plus the +2 that they get from the proficiency bonus would then get to be a +4, and that A to that means our passive perception should be 12 right there. Now, after this whole thing, passive perception should still be 12. But you know what I want to do? I want to change this to an 11 because and want to make that higher, and I want to get this lower so that I want to come in here and say proficiency bonus is 0. So now this means my passive perception should be a 10. And so now what I'm expecting is it to fail on this line right here. So let's like set a breakpoint there. Let's debug the test. And we should get, it looks like did I hit run on it? It ran? That doesn't make any sense to me at all because we have no code for passive perception. I'm not sure I got a check mark there. I think I said stop test or something like that, and we had succeeded before the edit and continue. That's why I got it. Oh, look at this. 12.
Huh.
Let's go figure that out. Set the next statement. Let's drill into this. Passive perception. Set a breakpoint. And let's run it. Wait, how's my passive perception equal to 12? Didn't I just set it to 10?
I believe you did.
Oh, no. I never said, hold on.
No, you're testing it for being 10. You set the proficiency bonus to 0, but you didn't set...
Oh,
well,
right,
that
right,
still
right.
should be a calculation, right?
Passive perception is 8. It should be 8 plus whatever my wisdom bonus is. And at 14, it's plus 2. So that should be 10. Let's go back into the code here. Let's go look at this. Get proficiency bonus for skill. Skills perception. Let's, oh, look at this.
But that's not run. That's false because you don't have a min value on your passive perception
Look at
field.
this. I'm starting it with a 10 plus that. That's the bug. If it's true, passive perception. D&D passive perception calculation. It's 10. So it's the other piece we were reading was false. So we built the test case incorrectly here. So that should be 12 there is what it should be. Yeah, it doesn't like that because I'm inside the call. That's slightly problematic. That means I've got to change my wisdom, drop it down to a 10. That means this should go to a 10 as well. For every 2 points here, it goes down 1 point in your passive perception, I think. Let's go try a debug test on that. I'm changing wisdom, making it lower. Oh, but does the bonuses go up for fields that for tests that are not based on, I'm sorry, does bonuses go up for tests that are based, let me get out of here, hold on a second, on properties that do not get replaced? So here we're like, this is going to fail right here. Okay? So our passive perception was a 10. It should go up to 11 as we understand it. The skill and saving throw proficiencies, we use the highest values, is what it says. Use the highest bonuses. I feel like this is not as documented as well as I want it to be.
There's interpretive issues here.
Yeah, so let's see. Here it is right here. these scores you retain. You also retain all of your skill and saving throw proficiencies, which I read that as your bonus numbers for when you throw.
Okay, but then in addition to gaining those of the creature,
Yes.
does that mean they compound each other?
No.
If you're both good at something?
No, it's right here. The next sentence clarifies that.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's so
That's
here.
good.
So here, what's interesting is saving throw proficiency is same proficiency as you, and the bonus in stat block is higher. Use the creature's bonus instead of yours. So to the bonuses that need to be used is what's happening here. Okay, so coming back over to like, so yeah, it's the highest bonus wins. It does not matter. So what's interesting is that you keep. Here, let's go back over here. This is kind of an interesting decision, but you keep your intelligence, your wisdom, and your charisma. Okay, you lose your strength, dexterity, and constitution, but you keep bonuses that are associated with high strength. Like say I had a really high strength, and then I lose it and replace with a weaker strength, right? But I would keep according to the documentation, we keep our high strength bonus, and we are in our skill checks. Which is,
so your bonus is now relative to a different base level, essentially.
Yeah, it's stunning to me, but that's the case. Why would we, in other words, the way I would write this rule is I'd say, well, if you're going to lose, if you're replacing these, then the bonuses get replaced here, and you lose anything you have here. You can keep proficiencies.
So if you start, I mean, I'm going to paraphrase because, again, my knowledge in the domain not so great, but if you start as a human who rolls, I don't know, 10, 12 strength, right? This is your initial stat, okay? But you declare yourself to be a barbarian class of some description, and that gets you a bonus, right? By somehow, because obviously barbarians don't usually get this, but you get a wild shape quality, and you're going to transform into a crocodile. Now you are effectively a barbarian crocodile. So you get the bonus of being a barbarian on the crocodile's basic stat.
Well, the bonuses are broken down into those skills, right? So we saw those over here, right? These skills right here. So
Sure.
Intimidation might be something your character might have. So those are the bonuses that need to be used. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is grabbing the highest of the two bonuses. Let's go look at how, for example, our passive perception is calculated here. Oops. So we're going to get the wisdom mod. Is one of the things we're going to be adding here for passive perception. And we're getting proficiency bonus for skill. Well, that's going to come no matter what. The wisdom mod, let's go look at that. Okay, so we got to make this virtual.
Yep.
Let's break that. So wisdom mod is virtual. It's, oh wait, this is in character.
Oh, we're already here. Okay.
That's super interesting. Why is the character not in creature? Why doesn't the creature have the... Creature has a different set of mods, I think. And or it's in monsters. So creature doesn't have any mods. Okay. And the character has a wisdom mod. Okay, so we don't need to make it virtual. What we need to do is this, is we need to say if wild shape is not null, then we're going to say, let's do this right up here. We're going to get this. We're going to create a new local for this. It's called mod. And we're going to return mod here. And down here, if wild shape's not null, we're going to say return oh, how do we get the creature's mod? It's in the monster. We're going to have to bring it up to a monster. Wild shape is not null. We just say this. We say, hey, if wild shape is a monster, this, and return whatever's greater math.max of mod or monster.wisdom mod. There it is right there. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so there's my wisdom mod piece right there. That's what we're gonna have to do. I think this is all gonna work because I think wisdom mod's brought in automatically from grabbing the data out there. I think that's the case. So that means then that change could be all we need for this test to work. Let's see if that fixes it. All right, I'm just gonna hover over that. What do we got? It's 10.
Okay, so not quite what we predicted.
Let's see what's going on here. Let's step into it. Oh, I can shoot. Setting its breakpoint. Go inside. Get a. Oh, look at this! It's this line of code here, I think. I've got this code that caches it, so we don't
Yeah.
call this code. I'm going to remove the caching code. That's what I'm going to do. Let's step into it. I'm pretty sure passive perception is already there. Yeah, let's just return it. I'm not sure why I had this caching in here anyway. I don't think it has anything to do with performance concerns. There you go. There's my 11 I wanted. Okay, so
Success.
success, but that also means we need exhaustive test cases because we just made a few changes and we haven't made them all across the board.
Sure.
In fact, I think what I want to do is let's, as a kind of a skill effort here, let's look at my wisdom mod that we've done and let's do the same code changes with the other mods.
Okay, Mark. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave you here.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
It's that time again. But I will see you again tomorrow, same time.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, buddy.
Okay, bud.
Thanks.
See you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to duplicate this all the way down here. Let's do this. Let's mark it for change. I think that's all I need. Copy that right there. Let's go find charisma mod. And let's go with here. So let's paste charisma. There it is there. We don't need this anymore. And let's go find Constitution mod. Paste Constitution. Get dexterity. Paste dexterity. find the wisdom mod. That one we did. Let's get these all together so in one place here. Wisdom mod, let's go to Dex mod. We got an intelligence mod in here. Control-V should do the last smart paste in there so I can get that. Replace that. Okay, so I've done it with wisdom, intelligence, constitution, dexterity. It's like charisma and strength are not here. Copy strength of the clipboard, selection increase, delete, Control-B to paste, paste in strength, paste in the strength mod, and charisma is the last one, right? So find that. There it is, it's done, it just needs to go back with the other group. What this comment above it into? I don't think we need that anymore. Okay. All right, so now we've got all our mods that are taking the ability from the wild shape, if that's what it is. So that now means that we should be able to check some of the skill test abilities that are out there. All right, so So the mod for Constitution here is a +2. If we come in here, change this, should we make this 14 I think is also +2. I'm going to change this to like a 9. And let's go ahead and get the Constitution mod. And I think for a 9 it's 0, but it could be a -1. I think it's 0 here. And then down here, I want to check the Constitution mod. And that's going to be a +2. The intelligence mod is a -4 here for the Badger. But it's our normal intelligence mod up here. This intelligence mod up here should stay the same. So this I think is a 3, if I'm remembering correctly. +3, and which means it should be the same and not change down here. Let's see what happens now when we step through this. If I got these numbers wrong, we'll stop up here earlier. Constitution mod is what? A -1. Okay. That was one of the possibilities I was allowing for. Let's set the next statement. Intelligence mod 2. Okay. Change that. And then we're expecting this to be a 2 down here as well. Let's see how that works. Set next statement. Bring up the wild badger. Pudding said goodbye, Roy. Okay. Step, 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 step. Okay, good. All right. So that's looking good. Let's go back up to character. There's a skill check test, actually. I want to do some skill check testing here. Wild shape. I'm going to make this a more generic kind of tested druid. Wild shape skill check. Do the same thing again down here, and this is going to be wild shape skill checks. Like that. So I think there's a get skill check bonus, get skill check dice, whether they have advantage or not on that. That's not what I'm looking for. Skill mod, these are what I'm looking for. Okay. Skill mod acrobatics. Probably like this, so it's going to be like this. R equal skill mod acrobatics. You should specify proficiencies, proficient skills equals skills dot acrobatics. Ooh, but my proficiency bonus is 0, so I'm going to change that to a 2. Okay, so let's just do that. So we're going to say skills, proficient skills is acrobatics. Then we're going to say R equals skill mod acrobatics. Well, it's not just the proficiency bonus. It's it's also the dexterity mod added to it as well. And then after we get to the wild badger, it should be whatever is greater than the 2. I think our dexterity mod with an 11 is 0. Pushing the bonus. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 2. Right there. I think I'm going to change these to numbers instead. And then let's look at Badger's acrobatics. Do we have that or no? We don't. We just have the bonus for it, the mod for acrobatics, which is based on I think dexterity. So that's a 0 as well. So we're expecting this to still be 0. We're looking for something. We need something really that changes. We're looking for something that changes. The Constitution does give me a +2 bonus over here for the Giant Badger. Or I could play with the Giant Ape instead. Let's see, change the skill test here. Let's play with the Giant Ape instead. We'll grab a Giant Ape. Acrobatics is, I'm pretty sure, based on, is that dexterity or it's dexterity, according to this right here. Okay, so acrobatics is that, athletics is the one I think I'm more interested in. Let's do that. So there's athletics. Let's come up here. We're gonna make it proficient in athletics. We've got a bonus proficiency there. What's my strength is 12. 12, I think I get a +1 in my mod. I think that's true. So there's my strength mod right there. I think it's the 1 with the strength of the 12. Here, this should be a 3, I think. And then we change to a giant ape. And now I'm expecting my strength mod to be a 6. And my skill mod for an athletics call is going to be a 6 plus my 2 proficiency bonus, which should be an 8. That's what I'm expecting. Let's see what happens. Okay, that works. All right, so that test looks good as well in terms of getting that giant apes, using the giant apes for the skill check. Although notice over here, it's got very, very specific bonuses for athletics and perception that we need to bring in, and we're not dealing with that yet. Yeah, this should actually be a 9, is what this should really be for the giant ape. We're not grabbing that in yet. Let's go look at monster. Are we actually working with DPOs here or not? We are not working with DTOs. I'm sorry, we are working with the DTOs is what I'm saying. We're not working directly with being able to save and retrieve these. All right, let's go open up monster DTO. I'm interested in the skills piece for right now. Saving throws I need to do, skills I need to do. Let's work on skills for a bit here. Kafka with .NET. Set abilities from Monster GTO. So I need something that says set skill mod skill check bonuses from monster GTO skills. That's what I need. Clear that. This looks like these are comma separated. Here's my skills. Okay, so here we're looking for something in the form of like the skill name and then what the bonus is at the end. It's going to, I guess, have positive numbers, any negatives in here. Does not appear to have any negatives. Okay. So now at this point we have a string that is separated by a space right here in the middle. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to call split, passing a space, call parts. If it's empty, we're out. If the count link is not equal to 2, then we're going to have a breakpoint here. Let's also trim this before we split it like that. Get out of there, small. If the length is not 2, then we want to say system.diagnostics debugger break. That we get in here, we can figure out what's going on, and then we're going to do a return out of there. Otherwise, we're going to come in and say D&D utils got to skill. We pass in that string parts of 0. And then we're going to get the second part, which is if int.try parse of parts of 1, comma out int value. Then we need to say add skill check override, I'm thinking. And we're going to pass in the skill and the value. that's what I think we're going to do. And let's declare that. Now, skill check overrides. I may already have something in here. Looks like maybe I don't. Let me just look for the word skill in here. This is really weird. There's a skill mod for stealth. Skills mod stealth. What's that doing in here? Oh, I needed it for one test case. And that's super interesting. So I'm only using it here and here. I think I don't want to do that. All right, let's go back. Let's add it back in here. Skills mod stealth. How are we using it down in... Sorry, not here in character. Yeah, I'm feeling the need to move this up. Because now I'm at a point where I need the monster to find out what its skill mod is. And while the monster may have no proficiency bonus, I'm sorry, dexterity mod, skill mod, I forgot it. It's got dexterity mod. Into dexterity mod. Get mod from ability. If monster, then we're going to say monster dot dexterity mod. The proficiency bonus for skill. All right, I think I'm gonna have to do a little more research on this so I can really understand what's going on here, because I'm a little bit uncertain about the direction with regards to these mods right here. Do I only use these four, or do these four override the normal calculation that I would get over here? I think that's the case. They override them, but it could also be that the others are all flat out zero. So anyway, I need to research that, figure out what's going on with that. I think what we'll do is we will end the show because I'm kind of feeling a little bit like, not entirely my usual optimistic self. So let's go in here. We'll see who is out here streaming out there. And we will get you over to them, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be like ready to do battle with the code. Greater intensity. We'll send you over to Instafluff. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow.